Merci bien, Mr. President. Mr. Speaker, Canada, we are the true north, strong and free, but we can be much better. In that context, I rise today to present Bill S-211 for third reading, a bill designed to create National Health and Fitness Day, a bill intended to raise awareness about the need for healthy physical activity in Canada, a bill intended to create a platform on which all Canadians can move to do better. Mr. Speaker, this bill is the fruit of 6 years of work, of collaboration among legislators at all levels of government. This has been the product of a network of coaches, parents, and sports advocates across our great nation. I'm immensely proud of my Canada, a pride that crested during the Olympic and Paralympic Games, a pride that grows each time I walk into this chamber or return to the riding, which I call the most beautiful place on earth. But Mr. Speaker, as wonderful as our country is, a critical ingredient of our nation's excellence is a commitment to continuous improvement in all that we do. And while in Canada we are strong and we are free, we can be much better as a nation than we are today. Mr. Speaker, we have a healthy nation, but we can do better. The problem drives deep, as its roots are in our culture and wedded to the routines that we've developed in our education, our work, and our play. Canadian cultural patterns reflect an increasingly sedentary lifestyle fueled by our growing addiction to the internet and video screens. We must acknowledge the need to do better in promoting the health and fitness of our people. The bill responds to a need that touches the lives of all Canadians and literally shapes the people we are to become in future generations. Mr. Speaker, we have reached a low point in our history. Statistics Canada reports a continuous decline in sports participation, which from 1992 to 2005 went from 45% to 28% among Canadians aged 15 and older. This is the first generation of Canadians in which children may die at an age younger than their parents. Less than 7% of young people are physically active for 6 hours weekly. Obesity rates have climbed such that a third of people under 18 are overweight or obese, which means they have 14 times the likelihood of suffering a cardiac event by age 50. Canadians such as Whistler's Dennehy family have become increasingly concerned about a rising incidence of mental health problems in our people. Psychiatrists, counselors, and others have a variety of solutions, but all agree that physical activity can improve mental health. Our government has responded to this need with a variety of measures to improve Canadian health care. Increasingly, our government supports preemptive health measures designed to put the responsibility of healthy living where appropriate in the hands of individual Canadians, parents, and families, not in the bowels of bureaucracy. Last month, for instance, our government announced the doubling of the Children's Fitness Tax Credit, which will next year become a refundable tax credit. And while this credit is a targeted measure to help Canadian families lead healthier lives, this Conservative government has taken numerous other measures, reducing taxes over 150 times and putting $3,400 more into the pockets of Canadians each year due to tax reductions. These are measures which allow Canadians to invest in healthy physical activity for ourselves and our children. As we move close to our New Year's resolutions, I urge mums and dads across the nation to allocate these funds towards healthy physical activity, involve your children, and claim the tax credit. As we look forward to Canada's 150th anniversary celebration, we as a nation have the opportunity to pursue trails to health, to shine a light on individual Canadians, our communities, and the opportunity to become the fittest nation on earth. One proposal is to celebrate the 150th with active movement on the Trans-Canada Trail. Mr. Speaker, we have a prosperous nation, but again, we can do better. The economic consequences of these sad statistics doom our ability to provide adequate health care unless we take effective and practical steps now. Declining physical activity and increasing obesity have triggered a surge in preventable diseases among Canadians. The Public Health Agency of Canada estimates that it costs a staggering $7 billion annually to care for persons whose diabetes or cardiovascular disease relate to inactivity. In addition to direct and indirect health care costs, the quality and productivity of our work in Canada would surely improve if our people were healthier and fitter. So in addition to making the lives of Canadians better, there are many economic incentives for us to promote health and fitness for Canadians. Mr. Speaker, we have a nation of great volunteers, but yes, again, we can do better. I thank the myriad of volunteers who've helped bring S211 this far. Foremost among these are the dynamic duo of Parliament Hill, Pierre Lafontaine, President of Canadian Inter-University Sports, and Phil Marsh, Senior Manager at the Running Room. Seeking to galvanize legislators as role models, Phil and Pierre have for 5 years shown up tirelessly on Tuesday mornings to run and Thursdays to swim with MPs, senators, and our staff. Pierre and Phil have a simple message. If parliamentarians can squeeze physical exercise into our busy lives, all Canadians can do the same. It was our great coaches who underlined the key role of local governments to promote health and fitness. Other groups and people have rallied, operating as an informal advisory council to ensure my work is relevant and productive. I thank Trans-Canada Trail, Participaction, Sport Matters, PHE Canada, Canadian Parks and Recreation Association, Heart and Stroke Foundation, Movember, Canadian Tire, the Fitness Industry Council of Canada, Good Life, Sports Information and Resource Centre, Canadian Sport for Life, Canadian Red Cross, Jumpstart Foundation, Canada Bikes, and other groups that have selflessly worked with us to get the message out. We are a great country, but to remain the true north strong and free, we have to be more fit and healthier than we are today. Many volunteers in the riding I represent have also rallied to the cause. Mr. Speaker, I include Rotarians who promote the Ride for Rescue, Fit Fellows such as Barry Chapman and Frank Carews, Ashley Wiles of Soul Girls, Vancouver Whitecaps former captain Jay Demerit, and Whistler's Olympic gold medalist Ashley McIver. At this point, Mr. Speaker, if you'll indulge a personal insight, it's been said that behind every successful man is a surprised woman. There's been no greater supporter of my efforts to promote health and fitness than my wife Donna, a personal trainer herself and my favorite running partner. In fact, we met running, and we've been running together ever since, in every sense of the word. I'm delighted that she's with us today as S211 nears the finish line. While it's seldom done, I'd also like to acknowledge the Herculean efforts of my staff, Marilyn McIver, Josh Imon, Jessica Fadigan, Stephanie Betzold, Sue McQueen, and others who've been the secret in organizing Bike Day in Canada, National Life Jacket and Swim Day on the Hill, and other events that have kept National Health and Fitness Day afloat. Mr. Speaker, we have an active group of legislators, but again, we can do better. I'm honored to work with my friend, the great initiator of this bill in the Senate, Nancy Green-Rain, Canada's female athlete of the 20th century. Revered by Canadians as an articulate champion of fitness on and off the ski slopes, Senator Green-Rain shows up again and again to advocate for the matters that mean the most to British Columbians. 6 years ago, when the 2010 Vancouver Olympic and Paralympic Games were becoming a reality, she and I asked the people of my riding what we do to create a legacy for all Canadians arising from that amazing extravaganza. The question was especially relevant because 70% of the Olympic sites were in the riding I represent. Constituents told Senator Green-Rain and me that we needed to springboard from the enthusiasm for elite sport into a lasting legacy of health and fitness for all Canadians. Over the last few years, she and I have worked hard to involve our colleagues in both houses on this project. In the course of these efforts, something rare and wonderful happened, Mr. Speaker. A consensus grew around the House, and members of all parties have consistently shown up to participate in the Parliamentary Fitness Initiative. It's no coincidence that members in both houses have also voted unanimously for this bill and passed. I thank the Prime Minister, the Health Minister, and the Minister of State for Sport for their great support. And while the Queen may formally be the First Lady of Canada, Lorraine Harper is First Lady in the hearts of many Canadians. She's also been a consistent supporter of our efforts. Along with the consensus, personal friendships grew. I applaud the members for Sackville Eastern Shore, Etobicoke North, and Saanich Gulf Islands for their efforts to promote health and fitness for parliamentarians and through parliamentarians to all Canadians. I want to say as well how much I appreciate the friendship that grew among us and among other members, regardless of party, in the course of these efforts. To my colleagues in this House, I continue to invite you to pivot from your very real need to care for your own personal health to look at yourselves as role models, approaching your constituents to get active, to keep our people strong and free, especially our local mayors and our councillors. Mr. Speaker, The passage of this bill will raise awareness and create a platform for further action. I'm grateful that individuals, organizations, and legislators across our wonderful land have, even before the passage of S211, already begun to celebrate National Health and Fitness Day, marked on the first Saturday of June each year. But, Mr. Speaker, even though our local governments are engaged, we can do better. The specific goal of the bill is to encourage local governments to proclaim Canada's National Health and Fitness Day and to define the day in some way that increases physical activity among Canadians. It's a blank cultural and civic canvas for all of us to use. Mayors, councillors, and other leaders can create an event, a free dance class, a swim lesson, or even open the doors of recreational and fitness facilities on a complimentary basis. So far, BC and the Yukon Territory have proclaimed National Health and Fitness Day. I urge the other provinces and territories to follow suit. More than 156 municipalities across the country have proclaimed the day. Among the very first proclaimers were the municipalities in the riding I represent, Mr. Speaker: West Vancouver, Squamish, Sechelt, Gibsons, Lions Bay, Whistler, Bowen Island, North Van District, Powell River, and the 3 regional districts in the riding: Sunshine Coast, Squamish, Lillooet, and Powell River. On May 30th, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities added its powerful voice, voting to endorse the movement. Federation President Brad Woodside has encouraged all of Federation of Canadian Municipalities' 2,000 members to proclaim the day. 156 Canadian cities, strong and free, Mr. Speaker, but we can do better. I look forward to the day when every Canadian town and city has proclaimed National Health and Fitness Day. Mr. Speaker, as National Health and Fitness Day comes into our nation's laws and traditions, it's a time when we can all focus on doing better in the area of healthy physical activity. I thank the many who've helped make this a reality. In voting for this bill on Wednesday, we in the House of Commons will all have contributed to the creation of a historic turning point with a positive and lasting change made for our whole country. Canada is strong and free, the best country in the world, but we can do better. With the enactment of National Health and Fitness Day, I urge each and every one of my fellow Canadians to engage routinely in positive physical activity for yourself, your family, your community, and your nation. Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are the true north, strong and free, but we will be even better than we are today. Canada, we will become the fittest nation on earth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments? Questions et commentaires? Questions and comments? The Honourable Member for Winnipeg North.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I think it is very significant for us to recognize the importance of fitness. And my understanding in looking at the legislation is that we're looking at, I believe it's the first Saturday in the month of June. And my question to the member is, in regards to the other communities, we do know, he made reference to, I believe it's around 150 plus communities today that recognize some form of proclamation for national fitness. And I'm wondering if he could provide some feedback as to the one territory, the province, and the municipalities. Is it all centering around that first Saturday in June?
Honourable Member for West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
Je remercie mon collègue pour la question. Oui, c'est le premier samedi en juin. Et oui, il y a plus que 150 communautés qui ont déjà proclamé la journée avant que le projet soit proclamé dans la Chambre. Et oui, c'est la Colombie-Britannique et Yukon qui ont déjà proclamé. Il est très facile pour mon collègue et les autres collègues dans la Chambre de suivre. On peut suivre la proposition qui est maintenant sur mon site web. Il y a aussi les documents qu'on peut prêter pour encourager les autres maires, les autres conseillers dans tous les villages, toutes les villes, toutes les communautés canadiennes pour le proclamer.
Question et commentaire. The Honourable Member for Beaches East York.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I listened with great interest to the member's speech. I'm a bit concerned about the claims he makes for the tax credits for fitness. In this day and age, certainly in my riding, I have a lot of constituents, Mr. Speaker, who simply cannot afford to put their kids into sports programs. The leagues, while run by volunteers and run very efficiently, are expensive. And this government is proposing to put pennies in the pockets of people who actually need dollars in order to get their kids into sports programs and reap all the benefits. So I worry about a bill of this nature, and the members talk of extravaganza and tax credits, frankly, that aren't meaningful to a great large proportion of Canadians. And the meaningfulness of a bill like this, Mr. Speaker, if we are to be serious about getting our kids engaged in sports for all the great health reasons and social reasons that flow from that, why isn't this government doing something more meaningful to put real dollars back in the pockets of people these days, Mr. Speaker, who don't have them, so that their kids can participate? Thank you.
Honourable member for West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member for Beaches East York, and I noticed he was listening attentively, and I really appreciate that and his support in previous votes on this bill. He raises a good question. What can the government do? The government has brought in a children's fitness tax credit. It has also doubled that fitness tax credit. And good news for the member from Beaches East York and all Canadians, it becomes a refundable tax credit next year, which responds directly to the question of people who are in lower income tax brackets. But the purpose of the bill, Mr. Speaker, is to encourage Canadians, mayors, councillors, all of us to take responsibility for health and fitness somewhat on our own shoulders. The government is doing its part. We have a very enthusiastic Minister of Health, Finance Minister who has adopted health and fitness incentives in this refundable tax credit. But we as role models in this House, we as parents, we as coaches, we as volunteers need to take up the torch and encourage Canada to become the fittest nation on earth. We can do it. We have all the facilities. We have the lakes. We have the mountains. We have the trails. And we are about to turn the corner to make us the healthiest and fittest nation on earth.